Chapter 1. Shattered ceramic cup. The 4 o'clock afternoon sun filtered through the blinds, casting dappled shadows across the living room floor. Ella squatted on the carpet, slotting the last puzzle piece into the slot, a dinosaur puzzle her son had wanted for his birthday. The previous week, a puzzle she had spent 3 nights completing. She heard a key turn in the hallway, and she immediately stood up and hurried to the kitchen. "Kane, you're back? Dinner will be ready soon. I've ironed your shirt, and it's hanging in the bedroom closet." Kane didn't respond. He slammed his briefcase onto the sofa and tugged at his tie, his expression frighteningly gloomy. He went into the bedroom and emerged a moment later with an ironed shirt, slamming it down on the dining table. "Look at this. The collar is wrinkled. I'm meeting an important client tomorrow. How am I supposed to dress like this?" Ella's heart skipped a beat. She quickly picked up the shirt and examined it. "Sorry, I'll iron it again. It'll only take 10 minutes. 10 minutes? Kane scoffed, his eyes darting to the corner of the dining table where an off-white ceramic mug, signed by Ella's favorite illustrator, sat. It was her mother's last gift. He reached for the mug and, as Ella exclaimed, "No," slammed it hard onto the floor. The piercing sound of the shattering ceramic made Ella tremble. The shards splattered against her ankle, leaving a thin streak of blood. Before she could react, Kane stepped forward and shoved her hard. Ella stumbled and bumped against the corner of the table, a sharp pain shooting through her elbow. She looked down and saw a bruise rapidly spreading across her light blue house dress. "You dare to glare at me?" Kane grabbed her chin and forced her to look up. "I'm telling you, Ella, if I hadn't been supporting you and the child, you'd be homeless long ago. If you dare give me a hard time again, I'll delete all those useless friends from your phone, leaving you with no one to talk to." He actually did it. That night, while Kane was showering, Ella tried to message Sophie for help. As soon as she opened the chat box, Kane snatched her phone away. He deleted Sophie's contact information right in front of her and set a new password. "Remember who you are. You're my wife, not someone who can complain to outsiders." Ella sat on the edge of the bed, staring out the window at the inky night sky, the pain in her elbow still spreading. She touched the old phone under her pillow. It was her old phone before they got married. She had secretly hidden it deep in the closet when Kane had said, "Throw it away, it's useless." At that moment, she first considered escaping. But she was trapped by the thought that her child couldn't be without a father. So she could only swallow her tears. Chapter 2. Suffocating red scars. 2 weeks later, on a Friday night, Kane returned reeking of alcohol. He threw his briefcase to the floor and, upon entering, yelled, "My project proposal was rejected. It's all because of you. You didn't make me coffee this morning, which left me feeling down, and that's why I got criticized by my boss." Ella was reading a story to her child when she heard him yell. She quickly put him to sleep and left the bedroom. "Kane, you're drunk. I'll get you some hangover tea." "Hangover tea? I think you're trying to hide some money." Kane grabbed her wrist with such force it nearly broke her bones. "My mom called yesterday and said you sent money to your parents last month. I'm telling you, all the money in this family is earned by me. You can't take a penny." Ella was in so much pain, tears welling up in her eyes, and she hurriedly explained, "I didn't send any money. It was just some pocket money I saved to buy picture books for my child." "You dare to argue?" Kane's rage intensified. He grabbed her neck with his other hand and pinned her against the wall. Ella's breathing suddenly became labored, and her vision began to darken. She could feel Cain's fingers tightening, and his furious curses filled her ears. "I told you to lie. I told you to disobey." Just when she thought she was suffocating, Cain suddenly loosened his grip. Ella collapsed to the ground, coughing violently and gasping for air. She supported herself against the wall and walked to the mirror, where she saw a purple-red pinch mark on her neck, like an ugly chain. The woman in the mirror was pale, her eyes filled with fear, yet concealed a newfound determination. She touched the red mark on her neck and recalled the souvenirs Cain had smashed, the broken necklaces, and the countless hours she had spent alone licking her wounds in the dead of night. It turned out that forbearance never brought peace, it only exacerbated the violence. That night, Ella lay awake. At dawn, she feigned being too frightened to get out of bed. After Cain left for work, she immediately dug her old phone from the back of her closet and connected to the internet, using the neighbor's public Wi-Fi. When Sophie's name appeared on the screen, her hands trembled, and the moment she pressed the call button, tears finally flowed. "Sophie, I want a divorce. I want to leave Cain." After hanging up, she went to the community clinic again, claiming an elbow infection. Nurse Hannah saw the red marks on her neck, her eyes filled with sympathy, and quietly copied all her medical records related to domestic violence. "Ella, take these. They might come in handy. Don't be afraid, you're not alone." Chapter 3. The missing $120,000. For the next week, Ella became remarkably obedient. If Cain said, "We'll have steak for dinner," she'd go to the supermarket 2 hours early to buy fresh beef. If Cain said, "Hand wash your clothes," she'd sit on the balcony and wash them until midnight. Cain had indeed let his guard down. One evening, after a few drinks, he was leaning back on the sofa playing on his phone. Ella took the opportunity to walk over and sit next to him. "Cain, I see you've been too exhausted from work lately. How about I help you with the household finances? That way, you can worry less." Cain glanced at her and sneered. "What do you know about financial management? Don't waste my money." "I won't," Ella said, feigning grievance, tugging at his arm. "I just want to help you share some of the burden. Besides, our child will go to kindergarten, and I want to plan ahead. Just tell me your bank card password. I promise I won't touch it." After much persuasion, Cain finally said the password impatiently. "Remember, you can only look, not touch it. If you lose a penny, I won't forgive you." Ella was secretly delighted, but on the surface, she pretended to be obedient. "I understand. Thank you, Cain." The next day, while Cain was at work, Ella took her bank card to the bank. When she checked her account statements, her heart sank. For the past 3 years, Cain had transferred 200,000 yuan to an unfamiliar account, all with a note for my mother's living expenses. But she clearly remembered that Cain's mother received a monthly pension and didn't need that much money. Even more infuriating was that Cain had also opened an anonymous investment account with 50,000 yuan in it, which she knew nothing about. "These are all joint assets. Why did he transfer them without my knowledge?" Ella gritted her teeth and immediately used her premarital ID to open a new bank account at another bank and transferred the remaining 120,000 yuan from the joint account. She also took screenshots of Cain's bank transfer records and saved them in an encrypted folder on her old phone. This wasn't just money, it was proof of his wrongdoing. Leaving the bank, Ella felt as if the sun had brightened. She went to the supermarket to buy her children's favorite strawberries and a new lipstick for herself, something she had wanted to buy for a long time, but hadn't because Kane said lipstick is useless and a waste of money. Looking at herself in the mirror with new lipstick on, Ella finally showed a long-lost smile. Ella, you can do it. You can definitely leave him. Chapter 4. An awkward dinner. Kane was known for his generosity within the company. At the end of every month, he would treat his colleagues to a dinner at a restaurant, bringing small gifts for everyone to maintain his image as a good leader. This month, he told his colleagues a week in advance, "Let's go to that new Western restaurant downtown at the end of the month. I'll treat you all. Order whatever you want." On the day of the dinner, Kane came home from get off work and asked Ella to get his wallet. "I'm treating my colleagues to dinner tonight. Give me $2,000 in cash from your house." Ella had anticipated he'd ask for cash. She pulled a few $100s from a drawer and handed it to him. "We don't have that much cash at home. We just paid the property management fees and the kids' tuition, and this is all we have left. How can you be out of cash?" Kane frowned. "I just got paid last week." "Did you hide the money?" "Really not." Ella feigned resignation, showing him the bill. "Look, property management fees are $12,000, the kids' tuition is $3,000, and utilities are $500. The rest went to groceries. How about you use your bank card?" Kane had no choice but to leave with a few $100s and his bank card. At the Western restaurant, his colleagues ordered expensive steaks and red wine. Kane, glancing at the prices on the menu, felt a surge of anxiety. He only had a few thousand yuan left in his bank account, hardly enough to cover the bill for so many people. When the waiter brought out the 3,800 yuan bill, Kane's face flushed. He pulled out his bank card, his hands shaking, only to find the POS machine displayed insufficient balance. He had forgotten that Ella had already transferred the money. "What's going on?" His colleague's eyes fixed on him. Kane, utterly embarrassed, said, "Sorry. I forgot my other card. How about we split the bill today?" The expressions of his colleagues fell, and even the subordinates, who had previously accepted his small gifts, looked at him with disdain. Finally, a new intern paid for the meal, and Kane was able to escape. Back home, Kane vented his anger on Ella. "Did you transfer the money on purpose? You've embarrassed me in front of my colleagues." Ella sat on the sofa, looking at him calmly. "I didn't transfer the money on purpose. Our expenses are already high. Besides, why do you have to pretend to be rich by treating your colleagues to dinner? You only make a few tens of thousands of yuan a month. Don't you think about your children if you're squandering money like this?" Kane was speechless and could only slam the door and retreat into the bedroom. Ella looked at him afterward, a hint of a sneer on her face. This was just the beginning. She was going to make him pay for his hypocrisy. Chapter 5. The truth exposed. Ella didn't stop. Through Sophie, she contacted Reed, Kane's head of competitive products. Reed had a long-standing grudge against Kane over a competing project. When he saw the evidence Ella provided of Kane accepting a 50,000 gift card from a partner, he immediately agreed to help. "Don't worry, I'll make him pay." Not long after, Kane's company's supervisory department received an anonymous report. Their investigation revealed that Kane had indeed accepted gift cards from a partner on a project the previous year, and had also exploited his position to provide inside information to the partner. The company immediately suspended Kane from his position as project manager, and his previously secured promotion was completely scuttled. As Kane fretted, Ella unleashed an even more drastic tactic. She compiled all the evidence photos of bloodied clothing, medical records provided by Nurse Hannah, recordings of Cain threatening her, and bank screenshots of financial transfers, and anonymously submitted it to an influential local lifestyle media outlet. The day after its publication, the article became a hot topic. The headline read, "Corporate Manager, a good husband to the outside. A domestic violent thug inside." While Ella's name was omitted, the article detailed Cain's company name, department, daily commute, and even mentioned his habit of treating colleagues to meals to show his generosity. When Cain went to work, his colleagues looked at him with disdain, some even whispering behind his back, "So he's this kind of person." How horrible. When he went to the neighborhood supermarket to buy groceries, the cashiers studiously avoided him, and the neighbors closed their doors at a distance. Even his mother was hounded by relatives, asking, "Did you know all along that your son was abusive?" Cain was completely devastated. He returned home and vented his anger on Ella. "Did you do it? Did you leak this?" Ella, observing his hysteria, calmly held out a divorce agreement. "Cain, let's get a divorce. I've filed a lawsuit and submitted all the evidence. Just wait for the trial." Cain trembled with anger as he read the terms of the divorce agreement. Ella demanded not only custody of their child, but also the return of $200,000 in property he had transferred and $120,000 in compensation for domestic violence. He tried to tear up the agreement, but Ella stopped him. "It's no use tearing it up. The court has already accepted the case. Cain, this is what you deserve." Chapter 6. Growing up towards the son. On the day of the divorce hearing, Cain tried to defend himself, but the evidence the judge presented utterly slammed him down. Blood-stained clothing, medical records, recordings of threats, bank screenshots of property transfers. Every piece of evidence was like a hammer, hammering down on his lies. Ultimately, the judge ruled. The divorce was granted, with child custody awarded to Ella. Cain was required to return the transferred property, pay $120,000 in domestic violence compensation, pay monthly child support 30% of his monthly income, and be restricted from Ella and the child to within 300 meters. Cain's life had plummeted. He was officially fired from his company due to the domestic violence scandal and the kickbacks incident. He interviewed at other companies, but HR rejected him after a background check. He tried to get back the $200,000 he'd transferred from his mother, but discovered she'd already used it to buy a house for his younger brother, leaving him with nothing. Desperate, he rented a basement apartment and worked odd jobs to make ends meet, all while paying child support to Ella on time. Ella's life, however, was transformed. With her compensation and her belongings, she rented a 2-bedroom apartment in a neighborhood close to her children's school. She decorated the house to her liking. Her children's paintings hung on the living room walls. Succulents lined the bedroom windowsill, and a small table on the balcony where she could read or drink coffee. With her pre-marriage design background and Sophie's recommendation, Ella landed a job at a design studio. She worked tirelessly every day, starting as an assistant. Within 6 months, her outstanding skills earned her a promotion to designer, doubling her pre-marriage salary. On weekends, she took her children to the park to fly kites and to museums to see exhibitions, bringing a long-lost smile to their faces. One day, Ella came home from get-off work to find Cain squatting downstairs. He was wearing wrinkled clothes and had messy hair. Seeing Ella, he immediately ran over, Ella, I know I was wrong. Come back. We can still live a good life. Can you reduce the child support for a few months? I'm really broke lately. Ella ignored him and took out her phone to call the community security. Hello, security guard. Someone's harassing me here. Please come over and deal with it. The security quickly escorted Kane away. As he left, Kane glanced back at Ella, his eyes filled with regret and resentment. Ella watched him go. Feeling no wavering in her heart, she had emerged from the darkness and would never look back. Not long after. Ella anonymously shared her experience at a community-organized women's growth sharing session. She said, often, we choose to endure, driven by ideas like a complete family or a child needs a father. But I want to say that a true family isn't sustained by endurance, but by respect and love. If your marriage is filled with nothing but violence and control, then please be brave and leave the one who hurts you. You deserve a better life. After her sharing session, several women quietly approached her asking for her contact information, hoping to learn how to stand up. Seeing the light in their eyes, Ella suddenly understood her revenge wasn't just for herself, but to show more women that even amidst thorns, they can still face the sun and thrive. The setting sun shone through the window, warm and bright on Ella's face. She knew the road ahead was long, but she was ready. With her children and courage, she would walk towards her own happiness.